Hey guys, welcome back to the Hustlin Horsepower YouTube channel. I appreciate everyone that likes and subscribes to the channel. This is going to be a little bit of a recap of the OG Dirty 30, probably one of the most recognizable small tire no prep cars that were out there. But it didn't all start that way. This thing I pulled out of a barn that had sat in since 1956 and turned it into a pretty cool ride. This right here was testing at Street Racing Channel headquarters right before one of the Midnight Madnesses. Then me and Maddie and Sexy Rexy took it for a cool little street drive. I love this damn car. Probably the funnest one we've had yet. Here's a little bit of a walk around video for you guys. This was one of the last races of the year. Unfortunately, my TPS sensor took a crap on me, but it comes into a crazy wheelie at half track. We went 146 miles an hour the night before, and I was looking forward to this race. Here's a little bit of throwback to Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. Most of you guys know Kyle Loftus from 1320 Video, one of the largest YouTube motorsports channels out there. Well, he came up to me and was like, "Hey Nick, I've seen this car do some half-track wheelies. Do you think we could get some for the channel?" I told him, "Give me a couple minutes in the stage lanes and it should be able to do it right here for you." Not only did 1320 get their video, Matt Trombley and Hot Rod Magazine got some wicked pictures for the magazine as well. Roadkill nights after cutting the tire at the starting line on a railroad track. It wasn't the prettiest pass, but we beat them. I didn't have a whole lot of lead time after we got the invite to go race against the Memphis Street Outlaws. I literally tested every single day after work. As soon as I got the information, I ordered 2 sets of tires. Well, we burned through those 2 sets of tires because I tested like 13 out of the 14 days before we left. I ended up breaking the transmission the day before we left and had to run down to Extreme Automatics in Cincinnati, Ohio so they could fix us up. I broke the input shaft on the 1 to 2 shift on the freaking street in this car. It was pretty wild. So guys, I need to tell you the story about this road that we found. After work, after getting the call, I drove around the whole day after work looking for a spot to test because I knew I was going to run this car ragged to make it down there in time, and not only make it down there, but have a car to show up and compete with. So I find this road a few miles from my house. Not overly concave, nice flat surface, nice and long straightaway, and there's fields on both sides, so if there's any deer or anything like that, I'd be able to see it. So Lady Gangster and I come into this road the back way for our first time of testing, and we see these 2 alpacas out running around. Lady Gangster and I literally chased these alpacas around, And she's like, Nick, what are you doing? I said, Maddie, we got to make a good first impression on the neighbors here. We've never met anyone here. So we chase all these alpacas and help the farmer get his alpacas back in the field. He's like, what are you doing with this big truck and trailer? I said, well, we got to invite to a TV show and we got to do some testing. He's like, oh, okay, on the street? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you seem like pretty good people. So guys, I guess it all worked out. So we make the turn to our holy grail of a test spot here. And long and behold, there's a graduation going on. There's cars freaking everywhere. Like literally a bunch of people up there. So I was like, well, matey, we got to adapt and overcome. I guess we'll just pull over here and make some 60-foot hits and get a little bit of testing in. Well, guys, you legit can't make this stuff up. After we make a couple 60-foot hits, long and behold, there's a couple trucks with people in the back coming down to see what we're doing. I was like, oh, crap. I said, babe, we're going to probably get yelled at. But it's not the end of the world. It can't be that bad. We'll just have to find another spot to test. Well, long and behold, they buy several $100s worth of merchandise and invite us over to the graduation party. Shortly after testing, we stop by, get some food, and meet some of the best people we've met on this journey thus far. Well, guys, after pounding on this car for days on end, like literally every freaking day, the day before we're supposed to leave, I go out to make a couple more test hits, and I break the transmission on the 1 to 2 shift, and I didn't have a spare. So, luckily my uncle was out testing with me, and he tows me back to the trailer. We toss the car in the trailer and haul butt back to my mom's house, just a few miles away. I have to get this transmission out so I can get it down to extreme automatics. My nephew, Bad Donkey, who was helping Maddie change tires earlier in the day, helps me pull out the transmission because I got to get this thing down to Lonnie and the guys down in Cincinnati. It's not a short trip, but it's got to happen because we're supposed to leave tomorrow afternoon for Memphis. Here's a picture of my Uncle Bob, an absolutely awesome guy, myself, and Bad Donkey getting a little bit of a bite to eat before I make the 16-hour trip down to Lonnie and the guys in Cincinnati, Ohio. I jump in my sister's Chevy Cruze. By the way, most uncomfortable car ever, and it had no cruise control. I get down there, drop off the transmission at about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, turn around and start heading back. Well, I was on this trip from hell with no sleep. Lady Gangster, my mom, my uncle, and my cousin Sean were all loading up the trailer, getting everything together. Well, this car has no cruise control, and I get pulled over about 3 o'clock in the morning by an Ohio State Trooper, and he wasn't too fond. He asked what a New Yorker is doing in Ohio at this hour. I told him I got a call to go film for the Street Outlaws TV show, and I was dropping off my transmission to get fixed. Well, right then and there, he's like, oh, so you're a street racer? Goes back to his car and writes me a ticket that was not overly friendly. Well, thankfully, I make it back to New York without getting arrested by that Ohio trooper that wasn't overly pleasant. And Maddie gets to drive the dually and the 36-foot trailer for the first time. She starts hauling butt down to Cincinnati, Ohio to pick up the transmission, and then down to Memphis. But not first, without stopping to get a little bit of line dancing into her favorite song. We get down to Memphis area, and I find this hotel parking lot. I was like, yep, that looks like a good spot to put in this transmission. Well, we get it in there, run it for a couple minutes, run it through the gears, check the fluid, and we go make a couple test hits in this brand new hotel parking lot. Construction workers on this new building walk over, and they're like, you should probably get out of here, because this is a pretty rough area of Memphis. You need to get gone. Here's a little slow-mo launch video for you. This was down in Memphis on one of the most famous Memphis Street Outlaws roads. This road wasn't all that bad, but the Dirty 30 wasn't really set up for street racing at the time. On this pass right here, we went 146 miles an hour in 5.43 seconds. We didn't have a draggy back then, and I didn't even have a G-meter on the car, but it still wasn't an awful pass. Thank you to the Meso group for inviting us down. We never even raced with those guys before, and I appreciate the invite.
First pass, left temperature 141.5, right temperature 145.
after this pass right there, the night before filming, Mandy tells me not to make another pass, but my buddy that was helping out just flew into town. He got there a little bit late. I was like, babe, I'm going to make one more pass. She was like, I probably wouldn't. The car's working pretty good. Well, I make one more pass, and I slide off the road and crack the header, and I didn't even know it until filming the next day. Just a few weeks before we were headed out filming, we were at an event that Trick Flow Specialties were sponsoring that happened to stop by the pit as I was trying to fix the heads that were on the car. We were having valve train issues, but they decided to help us out and come on board. At the time, I didn't know Trick Flow Specialties uses Summit Racing as their distribution warehouse. I see this order on my Summit Racing account, and next thing you know, I had to cancel the order. I panicked. I didn't have enough money in my bank account to pay for these cylinder heads. So, yep, cancel. I thought I accidentally hit the order button when I was searching up the part number to order up the intake gaskets and figure out the measurements for the push rod lengths. Well, nope. I actually canceled the order of them getting shipped to me. A few days later, I give them a call and I was like, hey guys, do you have tracking information on those cylinder heads? And they're like, well, it looks like someone canceled the order. I was like, holy crap, that was me. I'm sorry. Since I canceled the order, I had to wait for the cylinder heads to show up. But I still had plenty of work to do. File fitting the rings and getting the motor back together. So we were rip-roaring, ready to go, and all fresh to go film in Memphis. Lady Gangster and Bad Donkey were helping out as well. We were going through and doing a little bit of everything. I put in an anti-roll bar, added weight, a little bit of everything. I was busting my butt. I even ordered this Harbor Freight welder. Yep, I ordered it just to have it with us, just in case the header broke or something like that, just in case we needed some emergency welding. Believe it or not, I returned that sucker when we got back because I didn't have enough money. This is a picture of me passed out in the shop. I was running ragged, but we had a lot of work to do, and there was only so many people to get the work done. Lady Gangster curled up and started cuddling with me on the shop floor. I was literally beat. I was worn the hell out. But we went down there with a pretty good car, and we had a good chance at representing ourselves well. Here's a little startup video and a walk around. The audio's not that great, but this is after I just built a new header setup after converting the car to methanol. This is in the shop that we had at the house that remodeled and completely gone through after we lost the Dirty 30. We remodeled the whole house and built a homegrown Hustler in no time flat. We actually finished a homegrown Hustler 5 days before moving out of the house. I don't miss that house, but I sure as hell miss the Dirty 30. We had some awesome times with this car. Trying out a new set of tires and tubes. I sure as hell didn't have enough tire pressure in it this pass. I don't care who you are. You gotta love that sound.
7th pass coming from the left.
This right here breaks my heart. It was the last pass we ever made in the Dirty 30. Over here, this was the Detroit Autorama. We were supposed to be on the upstairs floor, but people were complaining because it was rusty, so we got kicked down into the rat rod room. Here's a picture of the car after I pulled it out of the barn that it sat in since 1956. This one right here, this is one of the first no prep races we ever went to. This was a sad day. That was a rough one. Lady Gangster and I in the Dirty 30. Man, that car was something special. We had a lot of fun in that dang thing. There's a lot of kids that enjoyed it. There's a lot of people that got to hang out in the car, joy rides, so on and so forth. Here's Lady Gangster and another future little racer at the Detroit Autorama. You can't forget the Kansas City street days, speed obsessed, with the photo. Absolutely killer shots. The Dirty 30 ended up in a video game too. Door Slammers 2. Pretty freaking cool. That was a pretty cool opportunity that we had to come up. They stopped us at Norwalk, Ohio's Halloween Classic and was like, hey, we'd like to put your car in the game. Are you game? I was like, most certainly. 52 RPM out of, I believe they're up in Canada. Killer shots. This is Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws versus Old Heavy. I wish we didn't have a cracked header of that pass. This was the Dirty 30 versus the Australians. This day here, Lady Gangster got to make a couple passes in the Dirty 30. She was going mid-fives. This was the first week we brought the Dirty 30 up. This was at Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. This pass right here, that's a triple O light against the Australians. We kicked their butt. That's me and my buddy Ryan. First time at Drag Week. There's Harry and myself, the Australian, with the Aussie Chevelle. Yep, we gaffed him pretty good. That was some good times right there. Lady Gangster, Kansas City. There's a couple of nice looking rides right there. You can't forget Lila. She was our #1 fan. They're from the West Virginia area and came to a whole lot of races that we attend. Dirty 30 hanging the wheels about half track. Marion County Raceway. Man, that place used to get packed for a couple small tire outlaw deals, just small time racers. Kansas City, another photo. Absolutely killer time. We used to take quite a few people for the rides in the Dirty 30. It was a good time. Berkeley Springs. Believe it or not, they kicked us out of the airport for this pass right here. And man, that turned into a whole nother story. But yep, they used it as their event flyer as well. Lady Gangster and I, yep, good old times in the Dirty 30. This was also down in Kansas City. We had a lot of fun with this car. That's Lady Gangster cheesing real hard after making a couple mid-5-second passes her first time driving the Dirty 30. Another photo. I think this is at the Berkeley Springs Airport. Car was running pretty good out there. Maybe that was at the JJ's Arm Drop. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, this right here. That's my buddy Ryan sleeping out there. No, that's Lady Gangster. I lied. That's me and Lady Gangster sleeping on the tires on Drag Week. Early build days in my mom's garage. Uninsulated. Door half open because the door was broke. In the wintertime. It was cold in there. Lady Gangster riding the running board. One of the most iconic photos ever. Maddie and my buddy Ryan. That was a pretty cool one. I forgot where that was. This was at Street Racing Channel headquarters, making a couple of hits on their street. Or maybe just around the corner. This was the Buffalo Motorama. Myself and the Dirty 30. Dirty 30 versus Billy. I never beat him, but we've made a couple passes faster than him shortly before we lost the car. This was Ohio Cash Days deal here. Man, this is why we do this stuff. This was at the Halloween Classic. The kids. The smiles on the kids' face when you put them in that car, that's just something special. Dirty 30 on the streets. Man, that car was just cool. I love this picture. We might have to get it framed one day. This was my neighbor Jaden. Man, he used to come over and help out all the time. There's another little kid. This might have been Marion County Raceway. Oh, this was KD Drag Race right there. We had the drive-by. Young kids, man, they used to love this car. The old gangsters feel. Detroit HUD TV's Pour Your Own Puddles were always a good time. There's Sexy Rexy going for a ride in the Dirty 30. Lady Gangster's first time racing the Dirty 30. She went little fives in it. There she is, cheesing. I think DNR Auto took that picture. This is another one for maybe one of the races in Ohio. Maybe Marion County Raceway. Possibly Marion County Raceway. Maybe KD Dragway. We've spent a lot of time up there. This right here, Kansas City, 1320 video. I absolutely love this photo. I wish we could run it with the front end on, but man, it was heavy. There's Lila. That was Lila a long time ago. She's like 10 years old now. Another young kid hanging out in the Dirty 30. You gotta love it. Young, old, parents, daughters, they all used to jump in. Fathers, sons, We used to take people for rides all the damn time. Tucci Racing with a killer photo here. Those guys are some bad dudes behind a camera. This was Sexy Rexy. Believe it or not, we broke the input shaft on the 1 to 2 shift out in Kansas City testing the night before the race. We ended up changing the transmission. Myself, Billy from Street Racing Channel, Matt from DNR, and Lady Gangster. Sexy Rexy was just hanging out as we were swapping transmissions. Here's another one from Kansas City. There are so many good photographers out there. It was hard not to have fun with some of those pictures. Lowline Media, Kyle Loftus. This was after our first round win, maybe our second round win. I don't remember. This was another photo from Tucci Racing. Those bad dudes were pretty dang good with a camera. We like seeing them out at these events. Lady Gangster and I are always inviting of the young kids into the cars and whatnot. They're the next generation of the sport. Whoever was driving the car this pass obviously didn't want to talk to the Mexican cartel, so they pulled up a little bit before they made the pass. We spent a lot of time up in Ohio with Billy the Kid, Tommy, the SRC gang. I forgot what we were doing here. Maybe change the converter. Lady Gangster was hanging out with Sexy Rexy out there damn near all night. Me and Matt Rice from DNR Auto spent all night, and we hauled the car out at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning to go make a couple test hits before racing. I've always loved the Detroit Hood TV Pour Your Own Puddle races up in Michigan. We're going to make it back there next year with Straight Gangster. If I remember correctly, this was the first event out after converting the car over to methanol and building the new headers. This is a stainless works kit that I built my own. This was the first header kit I ever built. It turned out pretty decent. We actually still run these cars, these headers, on the Straight Gangster. They've been through hell. They were in the wreck in the Dirty 30, Straight Gangster, and now they're still working, still holding tight. Here's Lady Gangster cutting holes in the Dirty 30, trying to lighten it up a little bit. I think that was Speed Obsessed again with another killer photo. Hot Rod Magazine, cover photo for Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. Good times there. This was Harry Hall in the Aussie Cervelle and the Dirty 30. Maddie was driving that thing around because they were having a little bit too much fun. This was Surgery. I forgot what I was doing on the car at that point. Again, the Aussies and the Dirty 30. Drag Week. I don't remember exactly where this was. This could have been Drag Week. Could have been something else. Gotta love that optic armor roof. We appreciate all the companies that were with us on that car. It was a damn fun ride. Believe it or not, I don't have that many, but here's some build photos from the Dirty 30. From a complete barn find to a pretty cool little ride. Here's just some little stuff in front of the car. What do we got here? This is actually at the Let's Race Cars shop. I crewed with those guys for a while. I did all the main cage work at my mom's garage. The doors didn't close all the way, and I had to friggin' bend the pipe in the wintertime. I froze my gonads off. But hey, the cage work, it all turned out pretty dang good. The car was certified 25.3, 650 certified, but it had the full 1930 factory frame rails from bumper to bumper. Here's a picture of my mom and myself in the garage. As you can see, I got the hat on. I'm all boned it up. It was freaking cold in there. I hung up a little bit of plastic to try to keep some heat in it. Here's Lady Gangster grinding on the fenders or the frame, cleaning something up. I don't know exactly what she did. I did most of the cage work right in my mom's garage. Doing that with the doors open in the wintertime, man, it was freaking chilly, I'll tell you that much. This right here, Roadkill Nights pre-party. It left with the front tires about 1.5 feet in the air. Dominic D'Amato, I believe, took this picture. There was 4 of us in the car. Then Matt Trombley took this photo. Elena Shear did the article. This was in RPM magazine, the Dirty 30. It was a pretty cool deal. As you can see, the optic armor windows in it, the optic armor sunroof, a couple turbos on it. Man, it was a fun ride. Another Roadkill Night shot. Here's a picture of Harry. I got some electrical tape after I beat him and wrote on there that he got gapped. He sure as heck did. Dirty 30 hauling the trailer. Drag week. Man, we had a lot of fun with this thing. That was the year of the hurricane. This was a little bit of drag week prep before we took off. Me, Lady Gangster, and my buddy Ryan went on drag week that year. We actually slept outside at the one track. We were pretty tight on money for hotels and stuff like that. This right here, that might have been the Blue Suede Cruise at Norwalk, Ohio. That's an awesome freaking event. This was the Buffalo Autorama. My buddy Justin Telesco went through and cleaned up the car pretty good for us. There she is in all of her glory. That was before I built the headers and stuff like that. That was shortly after we brought it out. Here's my nephew, Bad Donkey, hanging out at the Buffalo Autorama car show. First time moving under its own power at drag week. I messed up the established outputs on the ECU pins. Man, that bit me in my butt. We almost made it, but man, it was a thrash to try to make it there. There's my childhood neighbor Jer, Mark Felvo, my buddy Ryan, literally thrashing days before drag week. Yep, that's Jeff Lutz at Lutz Race Cars. I used to crew with those guys back in the day. Their shop is down in Pittsburgh, and I was working up in New York, Buffalo, New York. It was about 3.5 hours away, but I was working third shift, so I was able to swap my schedule. I swapped to have off Wednesdays and Thursdays. No one wanted that time off, but I could get down to their shop Wednesday morning and work until 7 o'clock Friday. I'd usually get back into town about 11 o'clock, 11:15 to punch in at 11:30. We were working like dogs. I worked about 120 hours a week as I was working on the Dirty 30 down there, and Lutz was working on their 57 Chevy. They're out there now kicking butt and no prep kings, and I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunities they gave me. Here's a rare picture with the radiator off. You could see the Holly float bowl on the side of the fuel tank. Yep. That's so I could run the Aeromotive belt drive pump off the front tank. I just used a little pump in the back to fill up the front pump, and it would self-regulate. That's not no professionally edited video because that's not what we're about. We're Lady Gangster, myself, the future MVP that should be here in just over a month, and Sexy Rexy. Greatly appreciate everyone that likes and subscribes to the channel. Guys, that's where the whole screw it, life short, sell it all, go racing thing comes from. Shortly after we lost that car in the fire, we went through, we remodeled our house and built a new car and sold the house and went traveling. And we raced quite a bit. Guys, we have a little kid on the way, MVP. Those are her initials. She should be here in a little over a month. Hopefully after Dig or Die, because I'm possibly going to race Delaware, US 13 on Saturday. If it doesn't rain out, it's raining pretty good out here right now. But I might make the trip out to US 13 in Delaware for a backside race. Then we probably race in Turbo John's Backyards Brawl. And then we're probably headed to, Dig or Die. So we got 3 big races. with Straight Gangster. I'll drop that one, a picture of that one down there for the people that don't know about the new car. 3030. Don't get me wrong, I'm slightly biased because I'm the one that built it. I'm the one that pulled it out of the barn. That was one of the coolest small tire, no prep cars ever. It's the OG Dirty 30, not no Discovery Show Dirty 30. That one was the OG back in like 2016-ish. I think I pulled that out of a barn. Sat in a barn since 1956. And we legit won a 516 at 146 in that car. Legit 1930 factory frame rails. I did a 25.3 chromoly cage for it. Twin turbo big block on just regular 93 octane pump gas. We went 820 at 170. And when I put it on methanol, that thing was a whole nother animal, but we didn't run any quarter mile stuff after that because those front fenders at 170 miles an hour, a little over 170 miles an hour. I think we went 176 in that car with a little bit of better fuel in it. I think I went 176. And that thing would just start floating out there. And man, it was a hell of a ride. We used to do half-track wheelies in it, but man, it was a fun ride. It got a lot of attention, and we appreciate all the companies that were on board with us for that vehicle. We don't have as many companies that are on board now with Straight Gangster, but Straight Gangster is going to hold its own. It's going to make us some money here shortly. That car is pretty good. We're doing all small tire, no prep stuff now, and man, we have a ball doing it. So guys, like and subscribe to the channel, hustlinhorsepower.com. We appreciate everyone that follows along, and like and subscribe to the Hustlin Horsepower YouTube channel to follow along. We do this stuff a lot, and we appreciate everyone that follows this journey. Keep on hustling, guys.